Hey, what's going on, man? Right here in Chicago, home of the 44th president, by the way. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I love Chicago. How are those Chicago Bulls this year? I don't know.
We're going to be all right. Once
All right.
Zoe get himself healthy and once we get the bench back together, we'll
It's
be all right.
not
But the reason why I'm
like
calling...
I was just going to say quickly, it's not like the days of Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Michael Jordan, but that's okay. We can't have everything.
No.
Go right ahead, my friend.
We'll never get the 90s back, but I'm going to try to put some calmness to this conversation. What they're fearing is the browning of America, okay? What you saw at that Trump rally, that was a last-ditch effort to get all of his white supremacists and all of his neo-Nazis and all of his anti-Americans to really try to turn against each other. Mm-hmm. What you saw last night was an entirely different rally. You saw peace.
Right.
There was 75,000 people there. Madison Square Garden holds 17 to 20,000.
Right, exactly.
That rally was 3 times as bigger than
Wasn't that
bigger than here.
Can I ask you about that, if I may? She didn't really talk a lot about January 6th, but I think that actually worked in her favor because that speech to me, she looked, to me anyway, so presidential, professional, well-spoken, talking about the future of the country. And I thought she looked great. She looked like a president.
And inclusive. It was an inclusive speech.
I actually thought, and usually I go the other route, attack Donald Trump, attack him, talk more about January 6th. But I actually think it was a smart strategic plan not to do so. I think it looked so presidential yesterday. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it was more of the visual than the speech. The visual had to show you the last time you guys saw this on TV, our Capitol was literally being attacked.
Correct.
Which the guys are literally still locked up now. So the speech was excellent. Honestly, me and my mom was watching it together. It brought back the Barack Obama in Grant Park when he kind of accepted the presidential nomination. It kind of had that vibe where we had, whites, blacks, Indians, Asians, everybody. We had just a beautiful melting pot of beautiful people. So that's kind of what you saw last night, and it gave us hope. And I was telling my mom, was like, are you noticing the browning of America that's really why they're so afraid right now? Because it was 2 different contrasts. And, I mean, you piss off the Puerto Rican people. Do you know they started house music with us in Chicago and hip-hop?
True. Can I ask you something? I want to ask you something else. You and your mom,
okay.
I want to ask you this, if I may. When Donald Trump, and I think it was in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, said that he felt like Kamala Harris turned black. What were going through the minds of you and your mother? I'm curious.
Well, the National Black Journalists Association, first of all, shouldn't have had him on stage. And when they did, they were like, this is the reason why, because he's trying to pin us against our own people. And one thing you won't do, I get it that Chicago is not the safest city sometimes, but you can't come in here and bully us. Because if you remember this now, Brian, back in 2016 when he was running, he wasn't even allowed to our rally because we had so much protest and so much demonstration outside. He ended up canceling a rally here that night. So we were like, no, we don't allow that bigotry and all that hatred here. We're not taking that here. I know, again, we can clean up our city streets. We have to take our own backyard. We have to vote for our local officials as well.
Right.
But I'm honestly feeling good about this election. And I'll say this last thing. I'm sure you got other callers waiting. You got to remember, look at all of the Republicans that's coming on our side. When have you ever seen that?
Never. A former Republican Vice President, Dick Cheney. I want to ask you one more question before we let you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't mind me asking, how old is your mother?
My mom is 65 and I'm 50.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me ask you this then. What will it mean to your mother if not only we have the first female president of all time, but we have a woman of color, of Indian descent and black, biracial? What do you think that'll mean to your mom if it turns out that Kamala is the next president of the United States?
Well, I'm glad you said that because my mom also has 2 beautiful grandkids that are young black ladies, and one is 3 and one is 4. So my mom said, think about this. If my granddaughters can see a black woman in office at 4 years old, and let's just say she gets 2 terms, that'll be 8 plus 4. That's 12 years.
Yeah.
She'll grow up only seeing black excellence, which will make her thrive, which will make her, be more successful because she can say, you know what? She watched the Olympics this summer. She saw the heroic athletes win gold and stuff.
Right.
So just imagine the highest person in office because, remember, they wasn't born when Barack was here. We was.
Right.
So for them to experience their first president and being a black woman, that would just change generations.
I agree.
And again, we're not trying to teach hate out here. We're not doing that anymore. So again, we're not going back and Look, I took out the trash already. I'm taking it out again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Take out the trash. And I would nothing more
trash
than to have you call in and maybe even your mother call in if hopefully we get the result that certainly we both want, my friend. And I really appreciate you answering my questions. Thank you so much. Be safe out there in Chicago, and let's hope we get the result we want, okay?
Can I just add
Appreciate it,
something?
man.
Thank you for the call.
I just want to add something. So my son grew up with Barack Obama being president. My daughter too. I will say they're completely colorblind. So they're 13 and 15 now, and they're completely colorblind. They don't, like, when you say person of color, they don't, in their lifetime, there's never not been a person of color ascending to the highest office in the land. So they don't think it's strange at all, and nor do they think it's strange for a female to be in that power at that age.
I wish I could be the same. I can tell you that I am not colorblind, and when I look at Donald Trump, I see an orange freak who I think is the family ancestors of orangutans. That's what I see. I have to be honest with you.